Right, so I've ordered multiple PC parts off of AliExpress, so I'm going to showcase the multiple parts that I have ordered. Here I've got an SSD, an Intel Core i5-2500, 8GB of DDR3 clocked at 1600 MHz.
Apparently great.
And we've also got a Cooler Master CPU cooler which fits a wide variety of sockets. We've got the graphics card, the one and only. Since it's the graphics card, I expect it to deliver top tier gaming performance. And this rather dodgy power supply, which only costed around 20 something pounds, if I can recall correctly. And last but not least, we've got this LGA 1155 motherboard for the Intel Core i5-2500 CPU. And just like that, before your very eyes, the items have all disappeared. I wonder where on earth they wandered off to. The back rooms? I don't know, my bin?
Right, so first up here is the CPU, which has already been cut open. So that's our Core i5-2500 with included thermal paste. Look at that.
Grade A thermal paste that.
Yep, grade A thermal paste from AliExpress. 8GB of PC3 12800U CL11 RAM, 1600 MHz, one stick apparently, single channel. So man, I'm not even going to pronounce that, but
yeah, it's a bit of a tongue twister.
Ooh, it's actually got some weight to it. So that's that.
Hopefully it's all the storage capacity.
256 GB. Next up,
How about the graphics card?
is the graphics card,
The one and only.
which I
The
believe
best.
is a. Oh, it's got some other issues too. It's a GT 730.
Yeah, that'll play all modern games at 4K.
Let's hope. So it's a low profile card, but we have a case in mind. So there's that. It's a Samsung. It's got VGA, HDMI, and DVI. So there's that. Next up, it's a Cooler Master T20 for, as Vista said, for multiple platforms such as I think AM5 even. So we've got a manual.
No one ever reads them.
No.
We don't need that.
And here's our cooler. It's a tower style cooler.
It's the master of all coolers.
Cooler Master. It's also got some more thermal compound. So that's our cooler.
You know what?
Chuck this over here.
Yeah, I'm excited for the power supply. I think we should do that.
Power
next.
supply.
Yeah.
So this is a Skywind Intel motherboard. Power supply. It's an ATX power supply, I believe. It's 500 watts as it says on the box.
It's got good ratings.
Yeah. I believe this costs about £20. A little user manual. Who needs them?
Yeah, it's food for the shredder.
Yep. So.
Yeah, with all these manuals, I think the shredder's going to be having a feast.
Yeah, my broken one too.
Yeah.
So this is our Skywind Intel PSU.
Yeah, very high quality power supply.
Oh, it's got a white fan on it.
Not to mention, this power supply has RGB, so...
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah.
So this fan should light up. Last but not least is our motherboard. I believe it is an Asus motherboard. God, it's like Christmas.
Hopefully this is a sign they've packaged it well.
Yeah. To be honest, AliExpress, I wouldn't be surprised if it isn't. There's our I/O shield, and got free SATA cable too. Lovely.
Always handy. At least it's got the anti-static bag.
Yeah.
That's a good sign.
So this is our... I've scribbled it out actually. This is an Asus H61M-K motherboard. AM5 socket.
LGA 1155.
AM5 socket, yeah. 1155 socket. I don't know why I'm thinking AMD. There's our I/O. Got some PS2 ports, DVI, VGA, some USBs, and your audio. So this most probably is brand new by the looks of it. So
Yeah.
look at the pins.
Probably made from recycled parts.
That board's a little bit warped, I just realised. Or maybe just the table. Anyway.
Hopefully the latter.
Yeah. So here's our CPU, if I can get it out. So there's our i5-2500. That has got some crusty case on it. Should be fine. Wiggle.
Yeah, I think it just comes. Yeah, it comes off when
it
applied.
just comes off. There we go. Right.
I'm pretty sure it just. I think it fits like an AMD, an old AMD cooler.
It should do.
Yeah, like an AM3 cooler.
I believe they're the AMD ones.
Yeah.
So we need these ones. I am very confused.
Does it not come with
To say the
screws?
least. No.
Because usually, from my experience, they come with screws and just clip on the cooler.
Yeah, that's my experience too. I've figured it out. So then white bits, then clear bits go through the back through the front even. Do that. And these, in classic Intel fashion. Oh, AliExpress parts are starting to show their colours a little bit.
Their cheapness.
What should we use? Should we use our value thermal paste or should we use our Corsair?
Considering this is a budget system, I think we should use the cheapest.
The cheapest, right.
Yes.
So the stuff that has come with the CPU itself. That's very goopy. Try and get as much of that out as we can. So there you go.
I'll say that's enough. Never forget
I
that.
said that earlier. Don't ever forget to take that off. Oh dear, that's not good, is it? So
It's coming up.
the clips have come out with the cooler.
I don't know if he's going between. I don't know if they go.
Oh yeah, that might actually be, you might be right there. So I figured out what these little kind of spaces are used for. They hold in the clips. Yes. I've just had it come unclipped. Oh, there we go. And that is on there with that value thermal paste right there.
The best quality. It's all about value for money, you see.
There we go. Next up is our RAM, our 8GB of single channel.
Not just any RAM, but
The
Kill SRE RAM.
Kill IC.
However you pronounce it.
Warranty void stickers apparently for sealing it. Look at that.
So in order to void the warranty, you have to use it. That's
avoided my warranty just by opening the box.
That's a strange concept.
Is that, if I can get it out of the little plastic coffin, is our Kill IC RAM.
Considering it was in a plastic coffin, I certainly hope it's not dead.
No. Right. 1, 2, and press down. And there's our single channel of 8GB of 1600 megahertz. Oh, I've installed the Cooler Master. I've installed that upside down. They've installed that upside down. That is very annoying. That is going to annoy me so much.
It adds to the budget appearance though.
Upside down, yeah.
There's one more edition left.
There's one more left. Our CR232 battery for the BIOS. One final edition.
And there we go.
That is our complete motherboard for now. And we'll be right back with you. Install is the case.
I'll be using this absolute beauty of a PC case. This is from around 2008 and until now has been sat gathering dust. This case originally featured an AMD Sempron and Windows Vista Home Basic as the operating system installed on what was once this system. Alright, so here we have right here, right before your very eyes, the most aesthetically pleasing PC case in existence.
It's very nice and
it's beautiful.
Nice scratch in it too.
That adds to the
It's a very long
charm.
PC case.
It adds to the charm.
So luckily this case, I believe, has standard front panel connectors. So next I'm going to be installing this tin can of a power supply. We'll do the peel it.
Oh yes, a satisfying peel.
Do you know what? It's staying on there. So here is the power supply. It is a TF Skywind Intel 500 watts output as pass QC. Look at that.
Yeah, well, so they say.
Yes, so they say.
It's literally made out of kitchen foil, and hopefully it doesn't melt during operation. Unfortunately, this system did not come with any screws, or at the very least, none of the components ordered from AliExpress came with any screws. Therefore, my friend had to improvise by finding OEM screws out of scrap systems that he's had lying around, and luckily we were able to source 2 OEM Dell motherboard screws which were able to hold in the power supply.
So first off is our very, very high quality IO shield. That goes in just like that. Crisp. Here's our motherboard going in. I believe it should just kind of clonk into place. Just like that. As easy as that. This case is not very high quality, is it?
Nah, it's the highest quality there is. This case is top tier.
Top tier. Because this was a...
it was from my old work.
Yeah. Some of Vista's old work you got for free. Surprising. It had Windows Vista on it. As it says by the sticker on the front.
Probably the least surprising thing
covered
on my channel.
So the bottom of the motherboard is just going to be floating. One thing I do like about this case is actually this feature here. It has a little retaining bracket for the cards.
You see, the best thing about a budget PC is not being able to fully brace the motherboard.
No, actually, I got one.
As long as it's able to be mounted in the case, that's all that matters.
That's all that matters. And
it seems to be holding.
Next up, I'm going to jump the gun. Here is the GPU, as you can see. Again,
that's right, the GPU.
If we can see,
It's hopefully it
It's
lives
a
up to its name.
GeForce it's a GT210.
They said it was a GT730.
It says it was GT730. Oh, well, we've got a GT210. It only costs us about
£14.
14, not even that, probably. I think it's even less. Yeah. Bada bing, bada boom. That is installed, and as I said,
Our retaining clip.
that is in there. So now I've just got
I've just got to wire everything up.
to do the fun part of wiring. Love that.
Right, it appears we can't seem to find a suitable spot for this SSD in order to securely mount it, so we're going to have to do the old-fashioned shove it where the sun don't shine trick. Oh, they come off. I didn't realise that.
No, I don't either. That doesn't help us in this situation, but
Yeah, it doesn't really do anything to help us in this moment in time.
might have to just
Get a bit of
leave it
tape.
free floating.
Well, I mean, that's all part of the fun. That's all part of the budget system experience. Oh, there you go. Well, yeah, I mean, having an SSD just freely sitting around is all part of the budget system experience. It's all part of the fun, you see.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I tell you, I've done that. Genuinely, have done that before. In my old,
Oh,
one of my
yeah,
old
yeah. I
systems.
think we all have. I don't think there is a single person watching this video who hasn't at least once in their, lifetime had an SSD just
SSD floating around.
yeah sitting
Just-
around like that.
You know what?
Yeah. Now we're just
Chuck it down there.
now we just
and
got to shove it where the sun don't shine, and yeah, there we go.
what we can do is forget about it. And there we go.
Yeah. Now that
PC done.
now that the side panel's on, we can forget the atrocities that hide underneath it.
Actually, it looks quite mean with the CPU cooler sticking out like that. You can
Yeah,
see
it kind of
through
does
the side
actually.
panel.
Makes it look fierce. It's like sticking an induction kit on a 1 litre car, really,
Yeah.
if you think about it.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Right, so I think it's time for our first boot.
Let's see if we get blown up.
Oh, that's very tight.
Right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Much to my surprise, the power supply actually didn't blow up and was functioning as intended, in which, judging by the quality, was a pleasant surprise. Windows 11 was able to install just fine, and judging by the fact it was installing on an SSD, it installed within roughly 10 minutes, which is actually not too bad for a system of this age, especially considering it is on the LGA 1155 platform. And to be specific, this is an Intel 2nd generation motherboard, therefore this only supports Sandy Bridge architecture. Another feature regarding this motherboard, well, not so much a feature, but rather a limitation, is that it doesn't support Intel CPUs that are above 65 watts in TDP, and the Core i5 2500 standard variant is that of 95 watt TDP. Therefore, the CPU on this motherboard is being undervolted and is not operating at its full potential, which is unfortunate, and this will hinder video game performance by a significant margin. However, this is the cheapest PC we could build off of AliExpress parts, therefore this is something we'll have to deal with, and it is the only way we could get the price of the system under £100. Anyways, now that the drivers and Windows updates have now successfully been installed, it's time to download some Steam games for video game benchmarks, just to gauge at how well games perform on this system. I didn't have high hopes that video games would run particularly well on this system, as instead of getting a GT730, instead we were issued a G210 instead of a GT730, therefore gaming performance will be significantly hindered and bottlenecked, not only with the CPU being undervolted, but by this incredibly outdated GPU from 2009 which rivals Intel integrated graphics. Anyways, I digress. Let's move on to the benchmarks. The first game featured in these benchmarks is Terraria. The FPS on this game isn't particularly terrible because, let's face it, Terraria is a relatively simple game and it is well optimised for hardware as bad as this. Load times weren't awful, they were rather slow, but considering the hardware that's to be expected. The average FPS was in the high 40s, whilst the 1% lows were in the low 40s. Not too shabby for a system bound by the aforementioned limitations. Unfortunately, it all goes down from here. Judging by the hardware, this was always inevitable, and that Terraria would be the only exception where gameplay was at least half decent. The average FPS of Sonic Generations gameplay was an eye-watering 12 FPS, with 1% lows being around 9 FPS. The highest FPS achieved in this game was in the low 20s, therefore this game is borderline unplayable. This performance is not particularly impressive considering this game came out in 2011 and that this game is running on its lowest settings and is still in such an unplayable state. However, on the contrary to the game's terrible performance, my friend who was playing this game managed to achieve an S rank on this Green Hills level, which is, well, very impressive. Anyways, moving on to Portal 2, frame rates were much better due to Valve being able to optimise their games in such a way. The average FPS in this game, like Terraria, was in the high 40s, sometimes achieving above 50 FPS, but the 1% lows were in the low teens. To Valve's credit, the Source engine is incredibly optimised, thus resulting in very impressive video game performance regarding such low specifications. Now moving on to Minecraft 1.21.8, performance is surprisingly pleasant. FPS is playable, well, somewhat. The average FPS is in the mid-30s, and the lowest FPS is, well, in the teens. So FPS is okay, especially considering this is the latest version of Minecraft on such old hardware, considering the GPU is from 2009 and the Intel Core i5-2500 is being undervolted. I would say this is definitely a playable experience, and I'm pleasantly surprised by this. Now, moving on to a very old version of Minecraft, which is periodically correct to the hardware of this system, 1.5.2, system performance is, well, roughly the same actually. It's not really any different. We're seeing the same FPS as we saw in 1.21.8, which is very surprising. So yeah, as you can see here, the average FPS is in the low to high 30s, with the 1% lows being around 7 FPS. So yeah, I mean, I'm surprised by the fact that the performance is virtually identical to that of the latest version of Minecraft, which is far more optimized for modern hardware as opposed to this version of Minecraft, which should be more optimized for hardware of this era. Now, going back to even older versions of Minecraft before the full release in 2011, this is Minecraft Beta 1.7.3, which should be more periodically correct in terms of the GPU's release date, being that of 2009, which was around the time this version of the game released. As you can see, performance is unsurprisingly better. We're getting FPS in the mid-40s to high 50s. Well, I mean, considering this version of the game is much older than the former and the latter, I'm not surprised. And since this was before the time Minecraft introduced smooth lighting effects and other such video effects, it makes sense that performance would be, well, a lot better. Alright, now that's enough Minecraft, and let's go back to yet another Valve game, being Half-Life 2. As you can see, FPS here is averaging around 30 and the mid to high 20s, which isn't particularly great. Well, at the very least, it's playable. However, this game came out in 2004, so I expected far better FPS from such an old game, which came out 5 years before this GPU did, and 7 years before the CPU was released. To put it simple, not the worst, but certainly not the best. Alright, now moving on to my favourite game of all time, Call of Duty World at War, and surprisingly my favourite zombie map being Zombie Verrückt, which is a lot of people's least favourite. However, this is my favourite zombies map in all of Call of Duty, at least Treyarch's Call of Duty Zombies. So yeah, as you can see, the textures are very bad. This is due to the game running at the lowest possible settings. And yes, this game came out in 2008, and yet it's barely playable on a 2009 GPU. Makes total sense, right? And yeah, performance is not particularly great. We're seeing average FPSs in the high teens, and the highest being in the low 20s, and the 1% lows being around 11 or 10 FPS, depending on how intensive the areas of the map are. Not amazing performance by any means. And at one point during the gameplay, the screen went black, and weirdly enough, pressing start and pressing the game again seemed to resolve the issue. However, due to the game's lack of playability due to the atrocious FPS, I soon succumbed to, well, being killed by the zombies, which is what you're trying to avoid during this gameplay. Of all the games that were able to at least launch and were able to be played on this system, this is definitely the worst game in terms of performance. The lowest FPS, the lowest playability, and the most difficult game to play in these current circumstances. Despite World at War being the worst game to run on this system, the worst performing game out of all the games tested on this system is BeamNG Drive, as it simply straight up refuses to even launch, let alone run terribly on this system. Now, moving on from video game benchmarks, I have now moved over to system benchmarks, which benchmarks the actual system itself as opposed to seeing how well video games run on the system. I wasn't expecting high scores from this benchmark, so I didn't have high hopes for this whatsoever. As you can see here, FPS is just absolutely abysmal in the DX9 test as well as the DX10 test. In fact, the DX11 and the DX12 tests couldn't even run. This is a testament to just how bad this GPU really is, the fact it's not even a DX11 graphics card. Taking a look at these results, I think it's conclusive to say that this system is definitely not very good. I'd say the only system I own to have a score that is this low is an Intel Core 2 Duo laptop I have. Another thing judging by these results, the 3D Mark, aka the GPU, was certainly the weakest link. And I firmly believe that simply upgrading the GPU would improve these scores dramatically. My friend also decided to do an SSD benchmark using Crystal Disk Info, and as you can see, the read-write speeds are very decent. Out of all the items me and my friend purchased on AliExpress, I would say the item with the best price to performance ratio is the SSD featured in this benchmark. After all the benchmarks and seeing how well the latest version of Windows performs on this system, which was actually decent. Windows 11 ran very well on this system, well obviously not as well as like modern hardware as of today, but I imagine Windows 10 would have performed roughly the same. Anyways, I digress. I thought it would just be fun to wipe Windows 11 off this system and install Windows Aqua on this system, which is essentially a Windows Vista modification with an aquatic visual style. At this moment in time, I hadn't yet tested Windows Aqua on a desktop system, and this was the first time I tested this release of Windows Aqua on an actual desktop system, as opposed to running it in a virtual machine. And just another thing to note, before anyone mentions that I'm using Snappy Driver Installer and that it's shady and that it contains spyware, I have since moved over to SDI Origin, which allegedly does not contain the same amount of spyware or whatnot that is present within SDI. And there we go, just like that, all the drivers have been installed, Windows Aero has been enabled, and this is the latest version of Windows Aqua, which has icon improvements, new wallpapers, and bundled themes. And another thing I noticed with this system regarding the power supply and the fact it has RGB is that out of the rear exhaust of the power supply you can see all the LEDs kind of being projected onto the wall, which I think looks kind of ridiculous, and I would find that very distracting whilst trying to play video games. And I must say, this is definitely my first time ever seeing a power supply with RGB. However, on the contrary to what I mentioned previously, it does look pretty cool from within the case. I do think it looks pretty cool the way it lights up the entire case with the RGB lighting effects. Anyways, moving on, here is the startup sequence of Windows Aqua, which is essentially the same as Windows Vista. However, I was able to change the No GUI boot screen for it to say starting Windows Aqua instead of starting Windows Vista, and to display an aquatic themed startup screen. Anyways, I'll shut up so you can hear the startup animation. The startup sound, along with all the other system sounds in Windows Aqua, are just Windows Vista sounds that have been reverbed and to have the pitch reduced by 50% as to make it seem as if the sounds are underwater. I've also included a bubble parallax effect that is present within the borders of active and inactive windows when the Aero theme is applied. As seen here, the effect is also present within the Start menu. I have also styled Windows Media Center to reflect the visual style of Windows Aqua, with bubble effects, bubble animations, and teal colours. Visual elements such as the animation displayed in the Windows Experience Index window have also been recoloured to match the aesthetic of Windows Aqua. And as you can see here, the score was definitely not the best, however it was certainly okay, certainly better than most of the Vista era systems I have lying around. And another thing regarding this Windows Aqua update is how the icons are now able to scale properly at higher DPI settings. And in the Welcome Center, where it says what's new in Windows Aqua, it lists the date it was compiled, and it also lists all the new features. I've also got a channel link built in, and along with the Ultimate Extras. But yeah, you can learn more about Windows Aqua in my previous video where I went over the 2025 update, which is a more in-depth video regarding all the new fixes, features and improvements that were added to Windows Aqua. And I must say this, I know I've already said this, but I can't stress how ridiculous this looks. It looks so stupid. It looks like a rave is going on inside my PC, like, I mean, for the price I paid for it, it's to be expected. And just to really give you a view on how it looks from the inside, it looks more like a bodge job than an actual power supply, really. However, it does look pretty nice from within the inside of the case. However, let's not forget that this power supply is literally made out of kitchen foil, and as I felt it in my hands, it literally felt as if I could literally crumple it up into a ball because of just how fragile this thing is. And as for the graphics card, or shall I say the worst graphics card, I think we all know where this thing belongs. But yeah, I think that just about wraps up this video, really. Well, it was really fun making this video, and I really appreciate my best friend helping out in this video as well. However, I must say, the takeaway of this video is, whatever you do not buy cheap parts off of AliExpress. As of editing this video right now, the system no longer works and refuses to install any versions of Windows, let alone Linux, let alone anything. Instead, my recommendation is just buying an office PC like a Dell Optiplex and throwing in a GPU, and not only would you probably pay a lot less money, but you would also probably get much better results as well. So yeah, thank you very much for watching this video, and I shall see you in another. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you can see more videos like this, and I shall see you guys soon. Goodbye and take care, everybody.